we got a new development in that lawsuit filed by the state of California. They picked the right courthouse, San Francisco. They got the right judge, Charles Breyer, assigned to it, and they're seeking the right relief in an injunction to stop the hostile takeover by Donald Trump to try to take over the National Guard, take over the state of California, violate its sovereignty, and arrest the governor. Not if the Judge Charles Breyer has anything to do with it. And the reason I'm emphasizing Charles Breyer is his name may ring a bell. His brother used to be on the United States Supreme Court, but he's now retired. And Charles Breyer's brother, Stephen Breyer, just a couple of months ago came to the defense of all federal judges, as only a retired former U.S. Supreme Court justice could do, and said that John Roberts, the Chief Justice, was right. Donald Trump was wrong. You shouldn't call for the impeachment of a judge. You should appeal a judge. And we don't think Charles Breyer shares his brother's sentiment about Donald Trump and the assault on the assault on the Constitution. If I were Donald Trump, I wouldn't be shocked if they moved to disqualify him, Charles Breyer, because his brother made those statements. I'm going to get to the bottom of what it means to have Charles Breyer as the judge. I'm going to talk about the case. I'm going to talk about the case law. And in particular, I'm going to talk about the shameful waste of $134 million of your and my taxpayer dollars in order to pursue this folly, to try to embarrass the state of California, which represents 1/5 of the world's GDP, gross domestic product, comes through California. And this is all Donald Trump is doing, manufacturing a crisis in order to suppress dissent and to crack down on First Amendment rights. I'm Michael Popok. You're here on Legal AF. Let's talk about the court. Yeah? I said this case was coming. I mean, we've been doing the countdown here on Midas Touch and on Legal AF ever since we put up the interview with Rob Bonta, the Attorney General, who filed the case, who met with my co-founder, Ben Meiselas, and did an interview just in the last 24 hours. We even had an interview of Gavin Newsom about the lawsuit. And then I did a breakdown of what the lawsuit would look like, and now we got the lawsuit. And except for the fact that I thought they would file it in LA, in the Central District of California, but they're smarter than me. They know California better than me. And they said, no, San Francisco is the right place to go. And so we're off to San Francisco. And now we've got the new reporting that this, very exquisitely simple complaint. It's only 22 pages. And when I say from the law perspective, that is a very pithy 22 pages. I mean, this could have easily been over 100 pages. 22 pages is all you need to call out a violation of the Constitution, a rogue ultra vires violation of statutes, and to take on Donald Trump. That's what I love about Gavin Newsom, among many things. Donald Trump knows he's the leading political candidate for the Democrats to win the presidency in 2028. And that's why Donald Trump manufactured this crisis. And that's why Donald Trump had one of his bootlickers, Tom Homan, the border czar, threatened to arrest Gavin Newsom. And what did Newsom do in response before this suit was filed? He said, bring it. He said, you want a piece of me? And I'm only barely paraphrasing. Come and arrest me. And then Donald Trump said on the White House lawn in the last 48 hours, we should arrest a sitting governor. Talk about a breach. Just play into the hands of the litigators and Attorney General and Gavin Newsom for California. That's all they're doing. I mean, right now, Trump's just eating out of the hand of Gavin Newsom. He just doesn't know it. All of these statements are being used in the case to prove that Donald Trump, with animus, is violating the U.S. Constitution, the 10th Amendment, which reserves to the power of the states everything that's not expressly given to the federal government. That's what our entire system of federalism is based on. We would be back in a confederation of states, not a United States, if it wasn't for the deal that was made by the framers. And that's what Donald Trump has violated. State sovereignty, the powers that are given to the states that have not been granted to the federal government, reside in the people and in the state, and that's been violated. And Gavin Newsom, pugilistic as he is for the right moments, took to social media, filed the lawsuit, and pulled up the right judge. Let's talk about what they're seeking in the complaint. They're seeking a declaratory judgment and injunctive relief. Let me break that down for you. Sometimes we go to court when it deals with constitutional or statutory violations. We want the judge to look at the facts and the law and declare a right, declare a violation. That's called a declaratory judgment when you're asking the court to declare something as a basis, in this case, for an injunction to block a behavior. They're seeking to block the federalization of the National Guard in California. And a little Easter egg that's buried inside the complaint, that's where I live, buried inside of complaints. You'll see that they said, oh, I thought that Donald Trump was in favor of border control and homeland security and stopping the flow of fentanyl and other national disasters. Well, not if you're deploying 4,000 California 4,000 California National Guards, including an entire brigade that is devoted and knows how to stop wildfires, right? You've got the wildcatters that stop the fires in California being redeployed to chase after undocumented people in California to assist ICE. And then he says, and this is the knockout blow, he said, the 79th Infantry Brigade of the National Guard that you've just taken away from me, that is also the counter-drug task force that stops the flow of fentanyl at the border of U.S. and Mexico, paragraph 77. Calling Donald Trump out to be a liar and trolling him. And now we've got the new reporting right as this news came to being, based on testimony Hegseth just gave at Congress, that they are blowing $134 million of your and my hard-earned taxpayer dollars for this manufactured crisis in order for Donald Trump and his people to pour more gasoline, more kerosene on the flames in order to crush dissent and to embarrass a blue state. That's all we're watching. So Donald Trump loved when Elon Musk was around to have the big wall of receipts and we're going after fraud and waste and fraud and waste. Hey, I have something. There's fraud and waste going on right now, $134 million of it. And so when I'm reading the complaint, it really breaks down into two parts. One, and there's three causes of action. One is ultra vires. That's a fancy way of saying something violates the law. And the ultra vires actions here is that there is a statute that has to be used. Donald Trump can only do what he's doing under one of two ways. He has to do it through a congressional statute or congressional act. Either the Insurrection Act, which Donald Trump doesn't seem to want to touch with a 10-foot pole. It's even too radioactive for him. He didn't declare it during Black Lives Matter. He's not declaring it now, for now. Or under a statute. And the statute he's using is 10 U.S. Code Section 12406. 12406, everybody. It only has three triggering events. One of them is suppressing rebellion. Another is to allow the president to faithfully execute the laws, and he can't do it with regular forces. Can't do it with his regular federal people there. That's the only way you can nationalize and take over the federal, the National Guard for a state. And even if you do it under one of those three triggering events, you got to do it through the governor. Why? Because the statute says you do. And they completely skipped the governor. In fact, the June 6th start of the deportation raids by ICE was done completely uncoordinated. No notice was given to California. No law enforcement official was told. No coordination with the governor, with the governor's mansion. None. Because Donald Trump didn't want to coordinate, because he wanted to create and, quote, manufacture the crisis and then send in not the firefighters, but the flamethrowers on and pour gasoline and then try to set up the split screen. They said it out loud. Newt Gingrich, a leading Republican, said it out loud. This is perfect. This split screen politically is perfect. On one side, the Republicans for law and order, and on the other side, the Democrats for migrants and lawlessness. That's what they wanted. That's why we've encouraged everybody not to take the bait. Right? This is the Selma, Alabama March Bridge moment. This is not the Rodney King moment in California. And so the lawsuit says, first cause of action, ultra vires. You didn't do 10 USC 12406 right. You never do. Two, you violated the U.S. Constitution, the 10th Amendment, which reserves to the states the power that the federal government is not granted. And there's a long line of Supreme Court cases, which I've outlined on Legal AF, which tell you exactly that they're going to lose this case on the Trump side. The Supreme Court has already spoken a number of times about when you can nationalize the National Guard, when you can federalize the National Guard. And if you don't do it right and you don't do it under express provisions given to you by Congress, then you're wrong. And there's just right on point. Now, Donald Trump must have been briefed on these issues, but he doesn't care about it. And then finally, a violation of the Administrative Procedures Act by the Department of Defense. What do they want in the case? What is Judge Breyer going to be deciding? Understanding where his family business, where their head is at philosophically, expressed by Stephen Breyer. A declaration that everything is wrong under the proclamation and the attempt to take over the State Guard in California violates 12406. 2, an injunction prohibiting the federalizing and deploying of the California National Guard because it wasn't done through the governor, and then attorney's fees and the like. And I think it matters what judge we're going to have here. And we're going to follow closely the next, it's going to move fast. There's going to be an injunction hearing probably within the next 24 to 48 hours. I'll report on it right here on Legal AF. We're very hot right now. We were just commenting internally. We have just added more subscribers in the last 24 to 48 hours because whatever's happening in California is scaring the crap out of people, and they want to come here and speak truth to each other and learn what's happening here so we can fight back. And that's what I'm requiring. That's what I'm requesting, that you continue to help us grow this pro-democracy channel. Hit the free subscribe button. We need you now more than ever. Come over to Legal AF, the Substack. You can read all about it right there on the complaints and on my analysis and those of my other contributors. But I'm glad you're here. Until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.